I'm going to put in my anchor stitch above the apex. My personal preference for these is a one-handed tie because
short.
The instrument tie might be a little bit shorter, but this is easier to drive the knot down quickly. Hello, and I love to get tangled up. There we go. So now we're going to do running stitches in the vagina. See, they're relatively shallow. I'm going to make sure they don't lock by putting this inside. If I am worried that my knot's not going to hold, or I couldn't get that tight back there, I am going to lock the first stitch. So for our demo, I will lock the first stitch because several of you, the vaginal stitches, the top one could have been loose. So there's a locked stitch. So now I'm going to do just a plain running stitch.
I actually like that.
So that it's kind of a belt and suspenders kind of thing, so it gives you a little greater sense of security. And then I am going to, I'm going to transition here.
Sorry, y'all.
You okay?
No apologies
Stay
for
right
doing your job. Okay, so I didn't put a lot of stitches in there, did I? So remember, we don't want tiny little stitches like quilting. So I'm going to do a little half of the other half of the transition here, so that my needle has just come under the hymen. I'm assuming the hymen is right about here on this client. Okay. And you can see all of this kind of pooches forward, so it's like, where is everything? It can be confusing. But we want to make sure the hymen comes together. And I'm going to do a third demo after this. So I'm going to grab bulbocavernosus here, and I want to leave room for my subcutaneous. So I'm going to go front to back. I'm going to reload. Hello. I'm going to push back to make space and go back to front. Don't want to come quite that far forward. And I'll pull the needle out. I'm going to pull my stitch through, and if you are new and you want to pull this all snug and then double check, you absolutely should. And then you can, with these closed, loosen this. And that will let you open it back up to make it easier to do your next stitch. You just have to remember to tighten up later. Okay, so now I'm going to do the next, which will either be bulbocavernosus or transverse perineal or a combination of the two, depending on how big the tear is and the person's anatomy. I'm going to do the same thing, push back to get that back stitch, pull through. I'm happy with this, so I'm going to, come on you, I want you to pull tight, please, thank you. And there, we'll do this. And then I'm going to palpate again, because I always want to palpate to go, oh, what else do I need? And I definitely need one more, because my finger, I'll do that again, my finger went in, not to the first knuckle, but I don't want to leave this gap. So I'm going to do one more. This is the transverse perineal, and I could feel it went into the midline. I'm like, whew, that was a close one. So I don't want to go and potentially catch on the rectum. And her tissues seem a little delicate here. So I'm going to go here, and now I got to kind of see how I'm switching my arm out to change the angle of the needle, and I'm going to bring it out right at the skin edge. Does not have to be at the base of the wound, but I want it at the skin edge so that now my next stitch will go to the skin edge, and that will start pulling it together. So I'm going to go from directly across. If I don't know where to go, I'm going to pull the suture. So I'm going to go directly across and angle my needle up, 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 and come out at the skin edge. So I'm going to back that out. I went skin edge to deep, deep to skin edge. And this side looks bigger than that side, so I don't think it's going to match right. So I'm going to readjust and go one more. Try it again now. There you go. Don't be afraid to back your needle back to find the right spot. And this is why I recommend simulation, because you can just do it over and over and over. And if you have like food coloring, you could probably color right at the edge. Like before you cut it, dip this, like put food coloring on a coated plate, dip this edge in it, let it sit until it's a little dry, and then make the cut, and then this edge will be clearer.
Yeah.
Okay? Always trying to come up with new ways to make this make better sense. And directly across. That doesn't look like it's the right place. This side, see how this side is poochier than the other? So I have to account for that because I don't want the pooch to end up at the top. I want to address it before we get to the top. Yeah, I'm not particularly pleased with this one. All right, let me pull. So the other thing you can do is kind of pull the wound like this to double check. And up. I like to end on my right, if at all possible.
Oh, you're right.
On my right, because I'm stitching from the right, it makes the finishing easier. So I'm going to stitch here, and I could come out at the skin, but I think I'm going to try, I'm always willing to try something different. I'm going to go in deep here, from deep to deep, and see what happens. That looks like it came okay. And that's why you want to experiment. You have to find the technique that works for you, that brings the tissues together well. There isn't a right way. I don't care what anybody says. So I'm going to go from this side to the other side. I'm trying to go deep enough to catch a little bit of that bulbocavernosus muscle. Make sure that doesn't come out funny. And now I'm going to wrap twice, grab, switch, pull the knot off to the side. See how that pulls that right over?
Yeah.
I don't want that tight. I just want it gently against the tissue. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. 3 is the minimum, but for this, it's the last one. I would always do at least 4. And I can do as many as I feel like I want to make the knot as bulky as I think is needed or not, depending on my thoughts. I can cut these long or short. It doesn't really matter. But that's not on the wound. It's not too tight. That one looks like it was too close, but it's actually just covered with some of the stuff. There you go.
Looks good. Wow, thank you.
Yeah, the skin is kind of erratic and irregular. I think I made one stitch because this wasn't actually skin edge. I think I came too far out. Anybody and everybody can make mistakes. I have seen surgeons with 30, 40 years make mistakes. So the big thing about mistakes is to acknowledge them